In chess, it is so important to get fantastic setups when you play. Look at this position, 3 pawns in the center. Look at the next position, 2 pawns in the center, supported by the f3 pawn, and we are going to get a pawn storm going. This video is all about 2 fantastic setups against the modern defense. So the first question must be, what is the modern defense? Let's have a look. At the end, I want you to tell me which setup you will go for with the white pieces, setup 1 or setup 2. So with white, we can set up with d4, g6, e4, bishop g7. This is the modern defense. Black will develop the bishop to g7 to put pressure on the center. The queen defends it. Black will later strike with d6 or c5 and e5. Knight c3, d6, and now f4. This is the first setup I mentioned in the intro. You want to go for this one or the next one, which I'll show you very soon. When our opponent gives us a chance to get central space, we should take it. 3 pawns in the center. How is black going to react? Knight to f6. And here, I think knight f3 used to be the top move. But theory has developed, but also I have learned something as well. Bishop to d3 is the move I want to suggest. Bishop to d3. Let's go for this one here. Bishop to d3. What's the point of this move? To over-defend your center. There are a few ways for black to react. Let's start with c5, striking in the center. This is a normal way to strike. A normal way to react when our opponent has the center. This is called a hyper-modern defense from the black side. Black gives you the center, but then plans to attack it. Pawn to c5 is that exact move. Let's get rid of it. Take. Queen a5 doesn't work. It doesn't work because you can just take the pawn. There is no tactic. This is a well-known tactic from the black side. If that bishop wasn't there, then knight takes e4 is a brilliant move, because there's so much pressure on this diagonal. But here it doesn't work. You just take. You just take. And after check, hitting the rook, you just defend. And now you are up a bishop. Let's go back a few moves. So that's the first opening trap I wanted to show in this video. That's why in this moment, black can't play their normal queen a5 move. So already it's like we're making sure we have our setup before they have theirs. Take. Now we can just go through the center with e5, and the knight doesn't have a good square. If the knight goes to the center, this is a second trap I want to show you. You can just take. And after take, you can win the queen. Normal tactic, bishop to b5 check, and then you can win the queen on the very next move. So that is those are the first key moments I want to present. Our opponent can castle, and now here we can strike in the center first. Pawn to e5. Take. Oh yeah, you might be thinking, why is William striking in the center with e5? This bishop isn't really that good. Because black already has a good pawn structure around the king. Because we will now get a cool setup coming up. It's like we are coming through the center, and then we want this setup. Oh yeah, by the way, it's very important the bishop isn't there, because there is no queen trade. With white, we want to fight for an advantage. So we keep the queens on. Knight to d5, and now bishop to d2. Take. That's one really cool way to set up. And here, let's look at a few key ideas with the different colors. The green circle showed the bishops are very strong. The queen can go to e2. The red circle, white can castle queenside to show their aggressive plan to attack later. Knight to f3 coming soon. Let's go back one move. Here you don't have to take, doesn't matter. You can play around it. So waiting for the capture. If they go here, then we can go here as well. Something like this. And my next few moves, I really want queen e2 castle. I even want this. h3 just to kick away, and then the bishop might take, and then the queen can take as well. Good. Next key moment. Next chapter. I want to present the second fantastic setup, which I mentioned in the intro. So that was part 1. Part 2, here we go. d4, g6, e4, bishop g7, knight c3, d6. And now, because our opponent is putting pressure in the center, we can over-defend our center with bishop to e3. This is one of the best setups to play. against the modern defense. You over-defend your setup. Your center, I mean. Knight to f6, planning to attack the e3 bishop. We just go f3. And now we just slowly build our position. Queenside counterplay from black. They want to attack us on the queenside, h4. Let's go. So with this kind of setup, it's really aggressive. Pawn to h4. Many ways for black to react. The most normal one is h5. I'm going to show you that later. Let's go first with b5. Oh yeah, I want to show you a key moment. If here a4, that's such a normal move, but then knight c6 and then knight b4, then black knight can actually sit quite well on that square. So I don't really want to show you this setup. Let's go back a few moves. So firstly, let's go h4. Right, many lines to cover. Let's go b5. And now we can go knight to h3. This is one thing I want you to remember from this video. The knight can go to h3. Why? Many different journeys from the knight. It can go to f2. It can go to g5. So later, if black plays the wrong move, then the knight can actually sit there for free. This is so important against the modern defense. If the pawn is there, then it will kick us away. But because the pawn is now on h5, you can put the knight on g5. Let's go back 2 moves. b4. They might kick us away. Knight e2. Rotate the knight. These arrows I'm going to show in more detail later. Queen d2. Hit. And then g4. Getting lots of space. That's why I love this kind of setup. This is called a chandelier pawn structure. Chandelier are just a bunch of fancy lights. And there's just so much control on the center. Knight b6 coming in. And now knight g3. This is one thing I've learned when creating this video. Put the 2 knights on the king side and then you can get the pawns rolling. We're ready to castle. Put the king on b1 later, so then it's safe, and then we can get our pawns rolling. It's just a really nice position. h5. They might stop us going forward here. g5 and f4 is good. Taking is also good. Why? We find a way to penetrate on the king side. Knight f4, hit the rook, it goes back, and now castle. Something like this. So let's discuss the arrows. The green circles show we've still got a lot of central control. The black knight cannot go to c4 because the bishop on f1 is covering it. And then we can go h5 later. Good. Now let's go back a few moves to this key moment. Next variation I want to discuss here. Queen d2. No, let's go back a tiny bit. b5. Knight to h3. Our opponent might take, doesn't matter. We just take back with the rook. Now knight d7. We can get space with g4. Get even more space with d5. Probably not d5. Well, unless they push, we can go d5. Or you just keep it there. Queen d2, castle's normal, and then h5. They might block us. Because if they don't block us, if they play a dreadful move like castle, then h5 is already so difficult to deal with. That's why in these kind of positions, you will expect your opponent to not castle so soon. Black might take. Black might block, I mean, with h5 and then g5. And then queen d2. f4, e5, just go through the center. Probably go f4 and then e5. That's a nice way to handle this position. Next key moment. We're almost done. We are almost done. Right, we'll take it from here. They go h5 straight away. Fine. Now knight h3. That's a very key move. Because then you plan to sit on g5. If your opponent is paying attention, they should take. But what if they don't take? Now the knight sits on g5. Many ways for black to play this position. Castle, not good. We're going to just go g4 pretty soon. Blow open your opponent. What if they go knight d7? Now we can go e5. What a beautiful tactic. If you can't see this move, don't worry. You can just go queen d2, castle, that's normal. But here, really cool tactic with e5. Take. Blow open the center. This knight has a really cool tactic coming up. What if knight takes? You might think William has just chucked a pawn. No. Queen takes queen. The king is misplaced. Then bishop d4. If the black knight moves, then we take. Now, if this one, then that's even more beautiful. f4. Pawn to f4, and we are winning a lot. Can't go check, by the way, because take. The knight actually defends the bishop. 2 moves ago here. Or if check, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because take, and then check. It's still this really cool tactic at the end where we fork the guys, king and rook. Let's go back a few moves here. So that's why this is a fantastic way to just come down the center. e5, take, and now The knight should move away, and then we've got a great position. Even knight here, that looks like a tragic move. But that's a brilliant tactic. Hitting everything. What a tactic out of nothing. Check. And then we win the rook. Brilliant variation. So your opponent, they might know this line after knight h3. The knight is so dangerous they might take, and then we take back with the rook. b5, and now you can go e5 again. That's a cool move to remember. It's okay to get the queens off in this kind of position because we get an endgame where we get a lot of space, where we have a lot of space. Take, take. And then take, take. And now we get this beautiful, absolutely beautiful situation where we just get lots of space. Okay, we have lots of dark square control. Then the knight can go to e4. Knight d5, even more control of the central squares. Move the bishop to e2 to f3 to hit the rook. Here's a cool journey. We're going to tuck the rook back, and then the rook can go here. So it's a nice rook lift to come through the center. You can see all these different arrows presenting lots of different ideas. I see all of this when looking at a board, and so can you. I know you can because you have watched all the way up to this point in this video. Next chapter. Right, from the top, we're almost done, guys. We are almost done with these two fantastic setups. d4, g6, e4, bishop g7, knight c3, d6, and bishop e3. We will over-defend our center. Knight f6, queen d2. Planning to come in just quickly. Don't have to go knight f3. This is just another way to play. You see, that's the thing with openings. There's so many different ways to set up. Let's stick with this one. Our opponent, they might castle h4. You just get on with it. That is so dangerous, so our opponent might stop. Now you go f3. This is very similar to before, but do you guys remember there was a difference? Black might get a6, b5 in, but in this setup I want to show you, they go c6 and then b5. So different way for them to pawn storm us. That's the central theme in this video. Pawn storm. You throw all your pawns down, and so will I. Who will get there first? Rotate this knight. Deliberately spinning the knight back to e2 because we want to get on with our attack. Also, I love this move because it actually stops queen a5. Stops black getting their queen to that central square. Here, I just want to show you something bad that might happen here. If you just let black maybe get on with it here. b4. Something like this. It's like kind of like perfect, really. You're just giving black everything they want with their setup. Something like this. Okay. So don't do it. That's why I love this rotating knight move. Let's go back to this variation I want to present. Knight e2, a5, g4. You just storm. Just storm the person. It looks like this move is impossible because after take, we're just losing our center. No. After take, we go knight g3. That's the key idea. Do you remember this was so similar to a position I showed 3 minutes ago where the knight was here, the other knight was here as well. So that is really one important thing I want you to remember. Find a way to rotate, to move both knights over to the queen side. Take, take. Can you see every single piece? Every single piece is potentially in the game. Queen can swing over, by the way. Bishop can go here to trade. They pin us, doesn't matter. Bishop e2 and h5. This attack is just so dangerous. These are the two fantastic setups you guys have seen in this video. Let me know in the comments. I really want to hear from everyone who watches up to this point. We are 13 minutes in. Good stuff. Let me know in the comments which setup you prefer, 1 or 2. Here, I want to recommend 2 videos for you to watch. Now, my previous video released about a month ago. 5 genius ideas in the Slav defense. I'm not even on camera, by the way. 5 genius ideas in the Slav. Top left corner. Same style as this video, which was 2 fantastic setups. That's the kind of video I want to make right now. And in the bottom left corner, YouTube might know better than me. YouTube might present a better video for you to watch. Thank you so much for watching.